On to the Middle East peace plan, because we're talking about these significant historic moments.
Huge. Yep.
We've had one locally with the PNG Defence Treaty. What's your read on the 20-point peace plan? Is it going to work?
It is utterly incredible. It is pragmatic. It is bold. It is already, though, delivering results. If you have a look at what President Trump has achieved to date, he has isolated Hamas, the terrorists. That is a good thing. The ball is now squarely in their court. But I think, again, to reflect on what Mike Pezzullo said, he brought the Arab states together and even the Muslim majority Arab states in terms of backing in the peace deal. This is the closest that we have got since October the 7th, 2023, to a constructive step forward that could actually signal an end to the war, but more than that, the rebuilding and reconstruction of Gaza. So you may not agree with President Trump on a lot of things, but in relation to this is probably, as you said, if this is successful, this is a point in time in history which should be celebrated.
When we look at 2 years on from October 7, it is... it's poignant in the sense that there are still dozens that remain in that, in the
hostages,
in the tunnels and so on, the hostages, and so many lives lost since the atrocity, the appalling atrocity and terrorist attack of October 7. How do you reflect on that 2 years now?
I think in the first instance, you have to, as a society, remember what occurred on October the 7th and why. A listed terrorist organisation dedicated to the destruction of the democracy Israel committed the most heinous of atrocities, raping, murdering over 1,200 Jewish people, but also taking hostages. And people need to remember, Kieran, this just wasn't an attack on Jewish people. It was an attack on Western culture. They hate it. They want to see the end of it. Jump forward 2 years, though, and in particular given what occurred recently in Manchester and what is currently before the Supreme Court in New South Wales, I think, sadly, the flames of anti-Semitism, they still burn bright in many parts of the world, and that is something that we must continually stand against, fight against and speak out. Because Australians need to remember, anti-Semitism begins with the Jewish people. It doesn't end with them. It then goes towards you and I as members of the free world. This is about values. Do you believe in Western values? If you do, stand united in condemning anti-Semitism, or be careful what you actually wish for.
Can I finally ask you a question about Andrew Hastie? He's stood down from the front bench. He's copped a bit of flack reportedly from Peter Dutton in the election review. What's your assessment of all of this? Obviously a distraction from where you want the focus.
Certainly a leaked report from a third party I honestly don't pay a lot of credence to. Election losses, let's be real here, are never about one person. They are about a number of issues, and in particular I would say our failure to properly counter Labor's 11 out of 10 disgraceful social media campaign and attack against us. But ultimately, I get up every morning and my one focus is on holding this atrocious government to account. The Australian people, they are not interested in the internal deliberations of the Liberal Party. What they are interested in is an effective opposition, and that is what we should all be focused on.
And is Susan Lee getting a fair crack?
I think
Andrew
Susan Lee,
tapped the mat?
she has the toughest job in history. Not only has she taken over as opposition leader after an election loss, she's taken over as opposition leader after one of the most, in fact, the most devastating election loss of all times. So Susan is giving us the space that we need to have policy debates. That is a good thing. But at the end of the day, our focus needs to be squarely on holding this government to account, not on ourselves. That is what the Australian people expect.
Yeah, indeed. And so Scott Morrison, I had him on the program earlier, he said that Susan Lee's done a good job in her economic argument and economic message recently in that keynote speech. Do you think that's the broader view within your party, that they want to give her the space to try and
Absolutely.
succeed?
We have all made it very, very clear. Susan is our leader. She has our backing. There is one fight here, and that fight is with the most left-wing, socialist, disastrous government, quite frankly, in Australia's history. That is where our fight has to be, holding them to account.
And rebuilding, I guess, yep.
Absolutely. After such a devastating loss, I think it would surprise a lot of people if we didn't actually have those reflections. You need to, but at the same time, remember, you've got one job: holding this government to account.
Shadow Foreign Minister Michaelia Cash, great to speak
Great
today.
to be with
Thank
you, Kieran.